Tracking us, Sage repeated, her voice sharp as she glanced at Tia. Her fingers flew across her laptop keyboard, pulling up a map of their location in real time. He's using your phone's GPS. He must have installed a tracker app when he had access to it. Tia's stomach churned. She felt like the walls were closing in, Caleb's calculated manipulations tightening around her like a noose. But there was no time for panic, not now. Not when Ren's safety hung by a thread. Turn off your phone completely, Sage instructed, her tone urgent but steady. We'll switch to burner phones once we pick up Ren. And we stick together from here on out. No more chances. Tia nodded, fumbling with her phone until the screen went dark. The car sped through the dimly lit streets of Portland, the city's neon lights reflecting off the rain-slick pavement. Every red light felt like an eternity, every shadow seemed to stretch longer than it should. Her mind raced with worst-case scenarios, each one more horrifying than the last. But amidst the fear, something else burned within her, a fierce determination. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about justice. For Ren. For herself. For every moment they'd endured under Caleb's suffocating control. They arrived at the dance studio moments later, tires screeching slightly as Sage pulled into the alley behind the building. Through the window, they could see Ren sitting cross-legged on the floor, sketching furiously in her notebook while Tia's sister, Claire, looked on with concern. When the door opened, Ren's head snapped up, her wide eyes locking onto her mother's face. "Mom," she cried, scrambling to her feet and rushing into Tia's arms. Tia held her tightly, breathing in the scent of her hair, reassuring herself that her daughter was safe. "You're okay," she whispered, over and over again. "You're safe." Claire approached, visibly relieved but clearly alarmed. "What's going on?" "You said it was urgent, there's no time to explain," Sage interrupted, already ushering them toward the car. "Caleb's onto us. We need to move. Now." Claire didn't argue. She grabbed Ren's backpack and followed them outside, her jaw set with grim resolve. As they piled into the car, Sage handed everyone burner phones. "Use these if you need to communicate. Assume everything else is compromised." The engine roared to life, and they sped away, leaving the quiet studio behind. Tia glanced back at Ren, who clutched her notebook protectively against her chest. Her heart broke seeing the tension in her daughter's small frame, but she also felt a surge of pride. Ren had been brave. Braver than anyone could expect of a child. Back at Sage's safe house, the atmosphere was electric with tension. The cybercrime unit had arrived, setting up equipment and coordinating with local law enforcement. Officers moved with precision, their faces grim but focused. They knew what was at stake. Sage spread out the evidence on the table. Screenshots of Caleb's encrypted files, copies of his diary entries detailing his plans, Ren's drawings that eerily matched the setup in the spare room, and the chilling purchase orders for photography gear. It was overwhelming, yet undeniable. "This is enough to put him away for a very long time," one of the officers said, shaking his head in disbelief. "The level of premeditation, it's monstrous." Tia stood nearby, her arms wrapped tightly around Ren, who leaned into her side. The little girl hadn't spoken much since they'd arrived, but her presence alone was a comfort. Together, they watched as the team finalized their strategy. "We'll intercept him before he reaches the house," the lead officer explained. "He won't get near either of you. Once he's detained, we'll execute the search warrant and seize all physical evidence. After tonight, he won't be able to hurt anyone ever again." As the clock ticked closer to midnight, the waiting became unbearable. Tia paced the room, her thoughts consumed by what might happen if anything went wrong. What if Caleb slipped through their fingers? What if he found them first? But then Sage placed a calming hand on her shoulder. "It's going to be okay," she said firmly. "We've done everything right. Trust the plan. Trust yourself. Tia took a deep breath, letting Sage's words sink in. She glanced down at Ren, who met her gaze with quiet strength. In that moment, she realized something profound: they weren't victims anymore. They were survivors. Fighters. And they had each other. Outside, the trap was set. Undercover units positioned themselves strategically along the route Caleb would take home. Surveillance drones hovered silently above the neighborhood, their cameras trained on his car. Inside the command center, officers monitored his movements in real time. When Caleb's vehicle finally appeared on the screen, turning onto the street where the safe house was located, the tension in the room reached its peak. He slowed down, scanning the area suspiciously. Then, without warning, he made a sudden U-turn, heading in the opposite direction. "He knows," someone muttered. "No," Sage corrected, her eyes glued to the monitors. "He suspects. But he doesn't know for sure." The lead officer barked orders into his radio. "All units converge. Box him in. Do not let him escape." Within minutes, Caleb's car was surrounded. Flashing lights illuminated the night as officers approached cautiously, weapons drawn. His hands trembled as he raised them in surrender, his carefully constructed facade crumbling under the weight of exposure. Inside the safe house, Tia held Ren close, tears streaming down her face. It was over. Finally, mercifully over. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, Tia stepped outside with Ren by her side. The air felt lighter, freer. Somewhere in the distance, birds began to sing, a reminder that even after the darkest nights, the world still turned toward the light. And for the first time in years, Tia allowed herself to believe in a future where fear no longer ruled their lives. Ask Explain. The Home Office had been transformed into what could only be described as a surveillance command center. Multiple monitors blinked with live feeds of Tia's house, each screen revealing fragments of Caleb's calculated movements. Sage didn't waste time on pleasantries. "It's worse than we thought," she said, her fingers flying over the keyboard as video clips began to play. The footage showed Caleb entering Ren's room during school hours, moving with methodical precision. He photographed every inch of her personal space, her dresser, her bed, her closet. But it was his focus on her summer clothes and swimwear that made Tia's stomach churn. What terrified her most, though, was his expression, completely neutral, as if cataloging inventory rather than violating their daughter's privacy. "He's been uploading everything to an encrypted cloud server," Sage continued, pulling up streams of data. "I managed to trace some of his network activity. He's part of a private group that shares content. They use sophisticated security measures, but they got sloppy with their metadata." Tia's throat tightened. "How long?" "The earliest traces date back to just after your wedding. Small things at first, photos taken at family events, casual shots that could seem innocent. But the timestamps on his uploads matched perfectly with Ren's drawings. She was documenting everything without even realizing it." A new alert flashed on one of the monitors. Caleb had returned home early again. "He's breaking his routine more often," Sage noted, pulling up the live feed. On screen, Caleb moved through the house with practiced efficiency, scanning every corner as if checking for cameras. He paused in the spare room, now nearly set up as a darkroom, and made a call. Thanks to hidden microphones, his voice came through clearly. "Everything's ready for the weekend. We'll have at least 3 hours while she's at her teaching conference. Yes, the lighting setup is professional grade. Trust me, the results will be worth the wait." Tia's hands clenched into fists. "I'm not going to that conference. I already told the school I'm sick." "Good." Sage pulled up another window filled with code. "Because look what I found in his cloud storage. He's been researching remote vacation rentals, all with private pools. Planning ahead for summer photo shoots. New footage appeared on the main screen. Caleb was in the master bedroom, accessing a hidden panel behind their dresser. Inside was a collection of memory cards and a small notebook. "I need to get to that panel," Tia whispered. "Already ahead of you." Sage handed her a small device. "Hidden camera detector. Use it to make sure he hasn't placed his own cameras in your bedroom. When he leaves for his meeting tonight, we'll access the panel." They watched as Caleb went through his evening routine with mechanical precision. At exactly 7 p.m., he left, claiming it was a business dinner. The moment his car pulled away, Tia and Sage sprang into action. The panel contained exactly what they'd seen in the footage, and something else, a small diary written in Caleb's precise handwriting, detailing his plans and connections with disturbing clarity. "This is it," Sage said, photographing every page. "This, plus the surveillance footage, it's enough." A new message pinged on Sage's laptop, an alert from one of Caleb's monitored accounts. He was buying photography equipment, more lights, new memory cards, and something that made Tia's blood run cold, a set of child-sized swimwear. The darkroom will be finished tomorrow, Tia realized. He's not waiting for the weekend. No, he's not. Sage was already dialing a number. "Which is why I'm calling in the cyber crimes unit now. I've worked with them before, they'll move fast." As Sage spoke with her contact, Tia checked her phone. A text from Dr. Frost had arrived, concerning session today. "Ren drew something you need to see immediately." Attached was a photo of Ren's latest drawing. It showed the spare room fully set up as a studio, with dates and times listed in the corners, tomorrow's dates. But it was the details that made Tia's hands shake. The exact layout of lights and cameras matched the equipment Caleb had just purchased. "Sage," Tia interrupted, showing her the drawing. "We don't have until tomorrow." Understanding flashed across Sage's face. She spoke rapidly into her phone, then turned to Tia. "They're mobilizing now." "But Tia, he'll be home in less than an hour. I need to get Ren. She's at my sister's house. I'm not bringing her back there." "No, you're not." Sage grabbed her equipment. "Because tonight's the night we end this. The police will be in position before he returns. We've got everything we need, the evidence, the diary, the network connections. He's not getting near her again." As they drove through the darkening streets, Tia thought about all the signs she'd missed, or hadn't understood. The changes in Ren's artwork, her growing silence, the way she documented everything in her drawings, creating evidence in the only way she knew how. Her phone buzzed with a text from Caleb, "Meeting ended early. Heading home to finish setting up the darkroom. Don't wait up. Drive faster," Tia told Sage, thinking of all those memory cards, all those planned photo shoots that would never happen now, thanks to her daughter's quiet courage and careful documentation. They had caught him just in time. But as they turned onto her sister's street, another text came through. This one made her blood freeze. "Stopped by your sister's to surprise Ren with some new art supplies, but no one's home. Where are my two favorite artists?" "He's bluffing," Sage said as they sped through Portland's dimly lit streets. "Ren's safe at the dance studio with your sister. He's trying to manipulate you into revealing where she is." Tia gripped her phone, where Caleb's text seemed to pulse with menace. She typed quickly, "At the grocery store with Ren. Need anything?" The response came immediately, "Strange. I just drove past Wilson's Market. Didn't see your car." "He's tracking us," Sage said grimly. "Ask explain."